All right, Canes fans, let's do this. I've got about 25 pages of notes to get through, and I'm ready to talk some football. What's going on, Canes fans? Football is finally here, and that means that Miami Hurricanes football is officially back. But whoa. Pump the brakes, Coop. We don't want that statement taken out of context. But in today's video, I am going to tell you how I feel about the 2025 season. And we're going to go through the entire schedule. I'm going to go game by game and give you a W or an L. And just remember that this is the official full season prediction. This is the final one. I've made up my mind at this point, but it's different than the way too early season prediction that I posted immediately after spring. So these are two totally different things, but it's fun to kind of look back and see which one was closer, because we should be a little more informed at this point. Teams have, finished up fall camp. We have a better idea on depth charts, but at the end of the day, no football has been played yet, so it is very difficult to do. Only a psycho would actually go through and do game by game. Why not just do wins and losses, totals, instead of breaking it down and trying to do individual predictions? Well, we all know who we're dealing with here. So with that being said, just do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's going to be a wild ride in 2025. We are doing big things. I'm talking giveaways. The call-in shows are back. Diss tracks are back. The watch parties are back. It's going to get crazy over here. And also, I guess we need the schedule up here so we can take a look. So the 2025 season starts off with a bang. We're talking a top 10 matchup here against Notre Dame, because Miami comes in at number 10 on the AP poll, which I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. All of these preseason, off-season rankings really don't mean anything to me because the football games need to be played. But either way, it's going to be a hyped matchup. I mean, this is on a Sunday night. It's at Hard Rock Stadium. A Hard Rock that, by the way, will be absolutely jam-packed. Canes fans will create a home field advantage against the Fighting Irish. But Notre Dame, they were the national championship runner-up last season, and that is a big deal. They lost to Ohio State, 34-23. They lost to NIU last year, but everybody's forgotten about that. No one cares because you were in the national championship. They have running back Jeremiah Love, who rushed for over 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns last season. But they did have to replace defensive coordinator Al Golden, so there's a new face there on the defensive side of the ball. And it's year 4 for head coach Marcus Freeman. This dude won 9 games in his first year, 10 in his second, and 14 in his third. So is he going to continue to climb? Also at quarterback, everyone believed that it would be C.J. Carr. That's what everyone was talking about. But it seems now that there is a bit of a QB battle going down, and there is some uncertainty there. But Kenny Minchey, this dude has not played a lot of football. I mean, he's been at Notre Dame since 2023, but I think he's thrown maybe 3 passes in an actual football game. And C.J. Carr played some meaningless snaps against Purdue last year. So we all know the saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. And I do kind of believe that. I don't think that it's smoke from Notre Dame. You've heard rumors of Carr throwing back-to-back interceptions in fall camp. Minchey being the more accurate guy, but, he's a little more safe, possibly too safe. But the reality is Notre Dame has a pretty darn solid football team. They have a ton of returning guys. They'll probably try to slow this game down, run the football until they kind of get their quarterback comfortable. And obviously this is not too big of a stage for someone like Carson Beck. It's home field advantage, obviously, but he's played in some big time stadiums. He's played big time games against Alabama, Tennessee, Florida. This is not a scary game for him. I take the experienced Carson Beck. Yes, there are questions on the defensive side of the ball at wide receiver for Miami, but overall, I believe in the Canes to get a victory here. Give me the W. So, future Coop here. I'm in the process, as we speak, of editing this full season prediction video. And while I was doing that, Notre Dame actually did, in fact, announce their starting quarterback for this season. And it's CJ Carr. So I just wanted to cut in and let everybody know that this does not change my prediction in any way. Here's some proof. August 19th, 2025 at 12:29 p.m. I recorded this video back on August 18th on a Monday. So I didn't have that news at the time. Minchie or Carr, it doesn't really matter because the quarterback position is not what I'm concerned about when it comes to Notre Dame. It's other things that we probably talked about in this video. So CJ Carr. Next up, you have Bethune-Cookman, who went 2-10 last year. It's no disrespect. Truly, it's not. But I'm not going to waste my breath or add additional screen time here to this video breaking down the Wildcats and their roster. Give me the stinking W. Now, a team that I am going to talk about for just a moment is USF, the Big Bad Bulls. 6-6 in 2024. This game is going to air on the CW. And no, you didn't hear that wrong. It's going to be on the CW. It is what it is. Kind of shows how much hype or lack thereof there is going into this football game. But quarterback Byron Brown will be back. They had a bad defense last season, pretty darn bad. And they play Florida the week before us, so they could kind of come in hanging their heads because Florida is going to beat them. And it's year 3 for mastermind head coach Alex Golesh. He won 7 games in year 1, 7 games in year 2. It's at Hard Rock Stadium. Give me the win for Miami. Game number 4 against Florida. 7-5. No, I'm not going to say 8-5 because we're not counting bowl games in this video. We're talking about regular season. Quarterback DJ Lagway will lead the charge. At least he better. And I mean this, guys. I want DJ Lagway to be healthy. That man appears to be made of glass. He just gets hurt over and over and over again in the season and at practice. I want him 100% because I don't want any excuses from Florida fans. But they play LSU the week before Miami in Baton Rouge. So that's something that you want to keep an eye on. That's going to be a very tough physical game for them. Carson Beck has never lost to Florida, but to be fair, that was him playing for a different team. So I like to mention that to kind of poke at Florida fans, but it is much bigger than that. It's not just going to be what Carson Beck can do. Billy Napier is going into year 4. Same as Mario Cristobal, and he has mostly climbed, 6 wins, then he had a setback, 5 wins in year 2, and then 7 or 8, whatever. Florida fans are going to say 8. They want to talk about that win. They finished the season somewhat strong, and they're looking at the potential positive momentum that they can carry into the 2025 season. Look, I get it. What happened last year really is irrelevant. I know if Miami can handle business in the Swamp, surely they can handle the Gators at home, in Hard Rock, but it just doesn't work like that. I am going to go ahead and give Miami a W here, though. I don't think that Billy Napier is a good coach. I think he's a pretty boneheaded coach, and I think that they'll be back to wanting to fire him after this season. They have a brutal schedule. I mean, it's really, really bad. It's a schedule that I would not want to play as a Miami Hurricanes fan. And I say if you want to be the best, you got to play the best. But it's a tough, tough schedule for them. I think that really, I don't want to dive too deep into this. They probably went around the same again this year, maybe 6, maybe 7. But I do think Lagway is good. I do. He's a dual threat guy. He just has to stay healthy. But give me a W. After the horrible placement of this bye week, Miami takes on Florida State. They picked up transfer quarterback Thomas Castellanos. I've been very vocal in saying he's going to be much better than Dudu DJ. I think he's a better fit for Florida State. And I mean, they picked up a new offensive coordinator, a guy you've probably heard of, Gus Malzahn. So I think that he's going to be able to work some magic with old Tommy. They will be better. It'll be in the newly renovated Doak Campbell Stadium, which doesn't appear to be much of a hit with a lot of the Florida State fan base, but we'll see. Norvell is going into year 6. He has to do better. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious he's going to do better than 2 wins. That was an anomaly. That's not going to happen again. And I think even Canes fans can agree with that. He might win 3 times as many games this season, probably around 6. But the one that matters is the one against Miami, right? It's at Doak Campbell Stadium. I will be there in person. A lot of you will be there in person. We're doing the Doak Takeover this year, invading Tallahassee. And there's just no way. There's just absolutely no way that Florida State can get a victory in this one. Miami is just too big, too strong, too athletic. They're going to be calling for Norvell's head at the end of this season. Give me the W. Now, after another very poorly placed bye week, I'm going to continue to harp on this because I just absolutely hate it. I don't know how this got approved. They have to have some sort of deep hatred for Miami. I'm sure it's not just Miami that has their bye weeks looking like this or something close to this, but it's horrible. Yuck. Do not like it at all. Miami has to take on the Louisville Cardinals. Now, this is a team that went 8-4, but they're projected to win around 7 games, so possibly a slight step back in 2025, but they did pick up an experienced transfer at the quarterback position, Miller Moss, and I don't think anybody's surprised, right? Jeff Brom knows how to work the transfer portal. However, the last 2 years, they have had the number 3 ranked transfer portal class, and going into this season, it's number 6. But Louisville is coming off of a bye week themselves as well. This is a Friday game, a weekday game. That scares me a lot. Yeah, but Coop, Louisville's playing on a weekday too. I know, but as a Miami fan, we broke the bye week curse last season. But you want to factor in coming off of a bye week and a Friday game? I don't look at it as an extra time to prepare still, so it kind of offsets it, right? So it's Friday, but you're coming off of a bye week. Scary, scary, scary. Year 3 for Jeff Brom. He won 10 games, then won 9 games. They're projecting like 7, like I said. It's at Hard Rock. I'm going to go ahead and say win here for Miami. Next up on the schedule, we are looking at Stanford. Bad football team. Young quarterbacks, not the best depth. They have a head coach who is going to be a one-and-done type of deal. He actually signed a 1-year contract to be their interim head coach in 2025 while they search for another head coach to come in and replace him. Now, this guy has NFL experience. He's been in the NFL a long time, even been the head coach of multiple teams. But I just don't see how you can get the players to really buy in, knowing they're playing for this guy for just 1 year, one and done. I think that there's not going to be any chemistry there. They won 3 games last year. I think they're projected to maybe win like 4 or 5 in 2025. They're definitely not beating the Miami Hurricanes at Hard Rock. That I can guarantee. It's a W for Miami. Oh, buddy. Now, this is a doozy, and I'll tell you why. It's for multiple reasons. This is the first game out of the state of Florida for Miami. An away game traveling down to Dallas, Texas. And also the fact that, well, it's SMU. It's Mini-U. It's Rhett Lashley. Obviously, he wants to beat Miami. And this is a team that, played in the ACC championship game last year. So expectations are going to be pretty high, but are they going to be a one-and-done type of team? There's also the fact that this starts the November gauntlet for Miami, and unfortunately there are 5 November games. If you remember, I did an entire video talking about Miami's struggles in November games. What's important to me this season is finishing strong. A strong start to the season, I understand, many believe can springboard you into a successful year, but Miami tends to crap the bed late in the year. Miami has to finish strong. They have to win the November games. And again, there's an extra one in there. So SMU, man, Rhett Lashley in year 4, but second year in the ACC. Quarterback Kevin Jennings will be back. He had some pretty decent stats last year. He's going to be backed up by Tyler Van Dyke. And let me go ahead and spoil something for you. I actually predicted this to be a loss in my way too early season prediction. But I am backpedaling big time. I have changed my mind in a massive way. I believe that SMU is a bit overrated this season, and I don't think that they're going to be quite as good as they were in 2024. I'm not going to say a one and done, but I think more so they're going to be better than what their record looks like, right? But they are going to lose some football games. They have a little bit of a tougher schedule. So better than what their record shows, but definitely not going to be what they were last season. I think that Miami goes in and actually possibly beats the brakes off of SMU. And it's no shot at them, no shade. I think they'll be decent, but Miami gets a win here. So you're probably starting to wonder here, when are the losses coming, Coop? Because right now you have Miami undefeated. That's pretty wild. Well, let me tell you something. Syracuse back at home is definitely not where a loss is coming, because this is going to be a win for Miami. Go ahead and put Coop, who's editing the video, go ahead and put a W over there, and then let's talk about Syracuse. Kyle McCord is gone. That's right. You don't have that quarterback to save you. You have a tough schedule. Year 2 for Fran Brown. You're projected to win like 5 games. It's not going to be a good season for Syracuse, straight up. It's a win for Miami. I would say you get revenge, but I've kind of started to not really feel that way about games, because Carson Beck didn't play for Miami last year. What does he want revenge against Syracuse for? It's not personal for him. There are some guys on the team that were there last year that maybe it still stings a little bit thinking about blowing that lead against the Orange last year. But for the most part, these guys are just showing up, playing the game, handling business, same as they would every game. So I don't even know that it's personal. It is for the fans, but maybe not so much the players, coaches, maybe. All I'm saying is it's a win for Miami. NC State had their worst season since 2019 last year. They went 6-6. They do have a bye week before playing Miami, which again is a good thing for most teams. They get to rest and heal up a little bit. But it's year 13 for head coach Dave Doeren. So he has to have a good season, right, in a big way, because I think the fan base might be growing a little tired of being a mid. I don't want to speak for them, but I mean, just look at the record. I think that he might end up being on the hot seat. I know they extended him to 2029. Contracts are made to be broken, bought out, etc. But they do have CJ Bailey back at the quarterback position. He has plenty of returning talent around him on the offensive side of the ball, but this is still not going to be a great football team. Give me the win for Miami. Okay, we remember what happened last season, and we're not going to talk about it. Why did I bring it up? I don't know, but we're not going to talk about it down in the comment section. Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, 6-6 last year. Quarterback Kyron Drones is back, and I do think that he's a pretty decent quarterback. I do. This is a late November game. It's going to be hyped up. Brent Pry is 3 wins, 7 wins, 6 wins. He's in year 4. They play Florida State the week before us and then had a bye week the week before that. But until Miami proves me wrong, and boy, it's been forever since they have, they always lose a conference game that they shouldn't have. So it actually has, I'm going to bring it up again, it has nothing to do with it being such a close game last year, right? Circumstances are very different. This isn't last year, this is 2025. It doesn't matter that it was close then, to me. But I will say Miami always has that uh-oh game. And it's typically when in the November games against who? A conference opponent. It's just facts. And again, until they prove me wrong, they have an uh-oh game, and it's Virginia Tech. That game is going to be hyped up. I don't even think, again, that they're going to be amazing. If I think they win like 8 or 9, I think that's probably spot on looking at their schedule. But it doesn't matter if they're good or not. And Coop, what do you mean? That sounds insane. If I would have told you last year that Miami started 9-0 but then lost to Georgia Tech and Syracuse in my season prediction, you would have been down in the comments section, first off typing in all caps, and you would have been telling me I'm out of my freaking mind. What drugs have you been doing today, Coop? Just because you beat teams that are good doesn't mean that you're immune to losing to teams that aren't as good as those teams you beat. It's just not how it works. I hope this is not the case, because Virginia Tech ain't better than Notre Dame. As much as I harp on Florida, they're probably not going to be better than Florida. Probably not, because, well, I don't know about Florida, But I'm just saying the game is coming until Mario shows me that he can run the table in the ACC, especially in November. So give me, this hurts, give me an L against Virginia Tech. Final game of the season, away again here. Pitt. 7-5 last year. They went out on a 5-game losing streak, 6 if you do want to include the bowl game. They have a pretty solid quarterback in Holstein. He's got an okay group of wide receivers to throw to. I don't want to seem like I'm downplaying them, but they're okay. It's a year 11 for Pat. Dude has been there practically forever. They do have a solid running back. Desmond Reed almost hit 1K, I think, or was right at it. He's very close to it, and he returns. But I just don't think they have it this year. They're projected to win around 6, so a similar season, if not maybe even a small step back for them. I think it's a bounce-back game for Miami. I think they play pretty angry, and they do take it to Pitt and get a big win. Miami is 11-1 in my final full official season prediction. Say that 3 times fast. With the only loss coming to Virginia Tech late in the season. Look, guys, I know it looks crazy. I had 11-1 in my way too early. The only thing is I had a loss to SMU, and I've now flipped that to Virginia Tech. We got it right last year, and we got it right the year before that. Not talking about game to game. I really meant it at the beginning of the video when I said only a psychopath, a crazy person would go game by game, because it's impossible. It really is. But what I really enjoy doing is discussing it either way, because it's fun. There's nothing at stake here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, do I get some bragging rights? Sure, but we know that for the most part, it's putting W and L on a dartboard, blindfolding myself, and throwing it over. We try to make an informed prediction here, but no football has been played yet, is what I'm trying to say. I know it looks crazy to beat Notre Dame and to beat Florida and then lose a game to a Virginia Tech team that I say wins maybe like 8 or 9, but it just happens. It's the crazy world of college football. But I will say this, that 11-1 record, and I rarely do this, we typically keep it regular season, I do believe allows Miami to play in the ACC championship game this year. And I think that it will be Clemson. I don't know that anyone else is going to be better than them in the ACC. Do I think Miami wins that game? It's definitely far too early to speak on that. But I do think Miami punches their ticket to the conference championship game, and they're 11-1 in the regular season. Now, if you want Coop to take a step back, this is not a built-in excuse for me to point back to this in the video. I will not reference this. You have my word. But I do think there is a possibility here that Miami loses a non-conference game and one ACC game and goes 10-2 and has the same record. That is in the back of my mind. I want to say it. I want to put it out there. This is my official one. But I think there's a chance that Miami splits the Notre Dame and Florida games, that they lose one of those. But it's just so tough for me to commit to that, because once again, the quarterback situation at Notre Dame, home field for Miami, there's a little bit of uneasiness there with question marks at the receiver position, chemistry with Beck and timing year one for Heatherman. Like, there's just some real talk at the end of the video. We think the defense will be improved. They reloaded in the transfer portal big time. Will Bain have a big year? Will Mesidor have a big year? Are the corners, these transfers, is it going to click in Heatherman's defense? Well, we're going to find out because it's a big test. There's no warm-up game. It's the national championship runner-up game one. And I give Florida such a hard time, but, I don't think it's going to be a blowout like it was last year. For me, I need to see the Canes in the ACC championship game. They could even lose to Notre Dame and Florida and run the table in the ACC, and I would still be a pretty happy man. Rather be 12-0, but, I'm just saying. So 11-1, that's it. That's my official full season prediction for the Miami Hurricanes. I guess go ahead and bet the mortgage on it. Let's go ahead and win some money. Do it big in 2025. Feel free to critique it. Feel free to talk about how stupid, how dumb Coop is. Or maybe you agree with me. Or maybe 11-1 is where you're at, but you feel like it is going to be SMU. Or they run the table in the ACC and it's just a loss to Notre Dame. Or you think they go 12-0 and win the whole gosh darn thing. Do not be shy down in the comment section below. Football is officially here, man. Let's have some fun with this thing. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Don't worry about it. I'm going to try to jump in the comments and let's go back and forth, man. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.